This is it, Whovians! Doctor Who is about to start with an episode dutifully titled The Pilot. No, not a series pilot, you rubes, but the start to Series 10. When the Doctor meets a young woman named Bill, an adventure of cosmic entanglement is set to explode during the most violent conflict in the history of history. No, not the Time War. Stop assuming things. It's all girls together as Bill, Nardole, and the Doctor travel through time and space to escape the terrifying reach of a puddle! Okay, yeah, even we aren't sure how to make that sound interesting, but still! It's time to review Season 10 in the Vortex.
Broadcast amplitude at maximum capacity. Transmitting through time and space in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Vortex.
Voices from the Vortex reviews Series 10, Episode 1, The Pilot. Hey guys, welcome to Voices from the Vortex reviews Series 10!
Woohoo! We finally got there!
A decade old. Give or take a few years.
You know, that's incredible. We were just talking about that. I can't believe it's 10 seasons already.
10 seasons.
I mean, since 2005. I know it's a long time, but like, it seems like, I don't know.
No, this is our little show is no longer in its infancy.
That's right.
It is a full-grown 10-year-old.
Yeah, and I think this thing could go on just as long as the classic series did, if not longer. You know, it keeps reinventing itself, and this episode right here is definitely, evidence of that it reinvents itself, even with the same people, the same characters, and the same writer, and the same... Yeah.
Most definitely. Series 10, Season 10 is obviously, it's bigger. It's Capaldi's third season, so we're kind of at a moment with Doctor Who where we're really seeing, we've gone, this is the fourth Doctor of the New Who. This is the fourth time we've seen, a Doctor in a series. And that's pretty impressive. The old show, that would have been through Tom Baker, right? So,
mm-hmm.
That we're going on to our fifth Doctor in another season or two is pretty huge.
Yeah.
So no, we're definitely not at an infant show anymore, and
mm-hmm.
I'm glad for it. I'm glad for it because it really shows.
Yeah,
this episode, the pilot that we're talking about, really shows that Doctor Who knows what it's doing. I guess one of the first things I thought of while watching the episode was, my God, this is the season of Capaldi I've been waiting for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So guys, welcome.
Yeah, this is Voices from the Vortex. I bet we should probably say that to begin with. I'm Taylor.
I'm Matt.
Yes, and we review the episodes as they come out. It's our fun little side project that also goes along with our fanfiction-y podcast.
Fanfiction-y. Mm-hmm. Fanfiction at its most obvious, ladies and gentlemen.
So, let's talk about this episode. You're right. This is the Capaldi we've been waiting for. We already talked about this a little bit, just you and me together, but... it bears repeating. They're finally letting Capaldi be who he needs to be, and there's no obstruction. The first season, Moffat wanted to make Capaldi very mysterious, so it was like he was grumpy, and I feel like they didn't quite know what kind of Doctor they wanted him to be. Series 9, they figured it out. I loved Capaldi in Series 9. All the things he did. He had the sonic sunglasses. He was a little more goofy. He played the guitar. He was a rebel Time Lord, for sure. But we had Clara in there, who I love Clara, but Series 9, she had overstayed her welcome.
Yeah.
So that kind of bogged down Series 9 a little bit. Now we have a fresh new companion, but then we have Capaldi doing the great things he was doing last season, and it's getting even better.
Right.
I think he was fantastic in the Return of Dr. Mysterio, the last episode we saw, and it's still just continuing from there. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's where Capaldi is right now, and it's sad because then we only have the one season left, with him, and it's like it's finally right where we want it.
Yeah, man, and you know that is the sad part of this, because as excited as I am to watch the season, as many cool things as they've been talking about are coming up. The best 2 episodes of Capaldi's run have been the 2 episodes without Clara, and I love Jenna Louise Coleman. I loved Clara as a character, but she should not have stayed for seasons 8 and 9. If she had to stay for 8, it's fine. Capaldi wasn't written very well. You're right about that. Moffat really did not pay attention to, you have a new doctor, you have to make people like him.
Yeah.
Whatever. But season 9, well, and I've belabored this before, but for those who are joining us for the first time, I had a problem watching season 9 episode to episode, week to week, because of the pacing of the show. The 2-parters absolutely killed it. And I don't mean killed it in a good way. I mean, they killed the show. Going back and binging it was much better. Much better. But Capaldi was on point for season 9. And now this is that same Capaldi in season 10. However, we have far more likable companions in Bill and Nardole.
Sure, yeah. And I think like Clara was likable, don't get me wrong. And so was Amy and Rory. But by the time Amy and Rory were leaving, I was like, well, finally, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's my problem with Moffat's companions, is they stick around too long. Where that's what I liked about the Russell T Davies companions, is they were there for the season, and so that every season it was fresh and new.
Sure. And
it didn't get stale, and it didn't make me not like the people who I liked to begin with.
And I'll say, I agree with you on that, but I think that Russell T Davies' companions left too soon. I think we only got a season of Martha, then we had to go on to a season of Donna. And I remember getting whiplash and thinking, but I just got to like and know this other companion. Give me another season with them. I think for any companion, 2 seasons would be perfect. Because you get 1 season to kind of build their story arc and why they're with the Doctor. Then you get another season of them just getting to travel along and have fun and be there. But yeah, Clara, I think universally people will admit that she overstayed her welcome with Series 9. I know Jenna Louise Coleman wanted to leave at the end of Season 8. I don't know what happened there, obviously. But she decided to stay. Then she was going to stay for Last Christmas. Then she was going to stay for Season 9. And I think that was just, well, whatever. Anyway, moving on to Season 10. Now we're introduced to a brand new companion, Bill Potts, an everyday, every girl, right? Yep. Working her job, doing her thing. And she's at the university, and she meets this doctor. She goes to his lectures. He's teaching at this university, and he's been there for like 50 years or something. And she's really interested in what he has to say, and she kind of gets caught up in his adventure, or she gets caught up in an adventure, and he's there, and that sort of brings them together. And I really like that.
Yeah, I really liked Bill. She was funny. She had a different perspective on a lot of things, which I thought was really interesting. She asked the questions that I wouldn't have thought of, that most companions would just take for granted, or they would just believe whatever the doctor said.
Right.
Whereas she's like, now hold on, wait a minute, but what about this? Doctor, you can't just say that. Like, you have to give me your explanation. This doesn't make much sense.
Well, and she's introduced to all this stuff for the first time. The doctor is so used to people knowing what he's talking about. So when he says, I'm taking him to the Daleks, and she goes, what's Dalek? And you kind of stop and go, oh yeah, no, she would have no idea what that is. It isn't just him introducing someone to the TARDIS. It isn't just him introducing someone to, to his lifestyle, to traveling through space and time. But there's so much that he takes for granted that people just have no idea what the heck he's doing. And I like that Nardole is there, because Nardole, I've said it before, he was absolutely the highlight of the Doctor, Return of Dr. Mysterio. Him having been there as an existing companion for the last 2 episodes really helps.
And is it safe to say, we can say with certainty, he's a robot?
I don't know. No, hold on. I have no idea if he's a robot or not.
Well, we brought this up with the last episode. We were like, hold on now, I'm not sure that Nardole is actually human. Maybe he's from a different planet. And then we thought maybe, the doctor put his head, reassembled him, he said. So maybe he put his head on a robot or something. And so we're thinking, after this, he was squeaking at the very beginning and like a bolt fell out or something.
Right.
And then there's when she's on the TARDIS and he's like, oh, human alert. Do you want me to repel her? It's like, oh, he's got some repel setting on.
Yeah, but he could be playing this up.
Sure.
He could be doing all of this, playing it up because it feeds into the Doctor's image of who they are and what they do.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's a robot or an android or not.
Right.
And Moffat is never going to clearly state anything in any of his episodes because Moffat thinks he's more clever than he is. And that bothers me. But whatever. I don't care.
Yep.
But until they say, yeah, he's an android, I'm not going to believe it. Because I'm almost positive he was human when he was put into the
Husband's a River
the
Song.
River Song, into the robot body.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this episode is good because it's funny that they called it the pilot. It's obviously a reference to the oil, and the oil needed a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Was what they was the words that were used. But it's funny they called it the pilot because it's they wanted to say, look, this is yet another reboot for Doctor Who. Moffat wanted it to be fresh. He wanted it to be different, and I definitely think it was different. I mean, I think the way it was shot, maybe even the way it was written a little bit, was a little different. And this episode, we were talking about this. Anybody could just jump in on this episode.
Sure. Well, yes and no. For all that talk about this being like a reboot and this being a new kind of good start for people, you cannot watch this episode and it's with fresh eyes and it's like, okay, I'm going to get everything that's going on. Because you and I both know that the rest of the season has way too much stuff in it that references to his past.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be a reboot, then the season needs to be fresh, and they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Also consider that literally a year from today, we're going to be watching a brand new series of Doctor Who that's going to be a reboot for people.
A brand new companion, brand new doctor.
So
probably a new TARDIS interior,
new title sequence,
everything. Yeah,
new sonic screwdriver. Even.
Sure, yeah.
So I feel like this is Moffat. I don't think this is Moffat creating a good jumping on place for people. I think this is Moffat creating a jumping on place for people who didn't want to watch Capaldi. Mm-hmm. If you did not watch seasons 8 and 9 because you said there is no way I am watching Capaldi, or you started watching going, I don't like this, this is your reboot.
Yeah.
Not the reboot for people who have never seen Doctor Who before. This is a terrible first step. If you've never seen Doctor Who before, why are you listening to us talk? That's silly. Clearly you need to watch this episode first.
Yeah.
But assuming everyone out there who's listeing to us has...
Oh, what's this show, Doctor Who? I'm going to start on Series 10.
With a podcast talking about it. But I think people who have never seen the show before will not start here.
Right.
This is a terrible place to start.
Right.
And as much as I want people to watch Doctor Who, they're going to have to... They're probably going to want to wait until season
They're going to have
11.
to put in the work and start with Eccleston and Papa Pizza like the rest of us. And the cheesy early 2000s sci-fi technology.
Or they can wait until next year in season 11.
Sure, they could do that too.
When Idris Elba is the Doctor. When
David Tennant comes back.
When it's Matt Smith, then he plays the other Doctor. When it's all CGI, like they used with Grand Moff Tarkin.
That's right, yeah.
And it's just Hartnell again.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like a starting episode. It does feel the parallels feel like Rose, the first episode. of the new
for
Who.
Sure. This had a really good Rose feel to it,
and the 11th hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It feels an awful lot like the start of Matt Smith. So I like this a lot. I like that it's from the companion's point of view. I think the things that we have bemoaned about Moffat in the past have really been addressed and redressed for this episode. So I'm just gonna end that thought there and say, Bill Potts, great new character, very excited.
Yeah, she's gonna be really great for the rest of the season, and just to see her sort of her arc and how it goes, because I know she's leaving at the end of the season, so what's she gonna do with that? That's gonna be good. I liked this. The thing I liked about this episode too was it sort of it didn't all just happen in one day. It sort of had this montage storytelling to it, where it started off where she meets him, and then he starts tutoring her, and they go through Christmas, and they go through all these other things, and so he's already built this relationship with her, and he doesn't just meet Martha Jones for the first time. And they do one little thing together. They solve one problem together, and he's like, "Hey, let's travel." He actually gets to know this person fairly well before he takes her out, into space. So one thing that I thought was really interesting was the bit where she said, "I don't have any pictures of my mom." And so then he goes back in time, and I didn't catch this the first time. I just thought, oh, that was weird. He was in the picture. Maybe he was like spying. But then I caught that the doctor went back in time, took pictures of her mom for her, and then gave them to her for Christmas. That was really cool. I thought that was...
It's proof that he really is sweet. He has softened. Mm-hmm. If he was mean or if he was grumpy in season 8, then he has really softened.
Yeah. Well, and I always like to talk about like every episode or every couple of episodes. I always like to talk about the Doctor's like motivation or like where he is at this point, because he's been alive for so long and he's always got his motivation. Is going to change over so many hundred years or whatever. So I mean, the last time we saw him, he had just finished that thing with River, and then he does this little adventure in New York City, and then he's at this university for about 50 years, she said. So he's just hanging out at this school, and he's not traveling as much. It seems that he's taking care of some kind of vault, which we'll talk about. That seems like it's going to be the big storyline for this season.
What's in the vault?
What's in the vault? So it's like he's had some time to, I guess, maybe just to relax and to sort of forget about that. Although he still has, he's got the picture of River on his desk, and along with the picture of Susan, which was great. It was great.
That was perfect for classic. For any of you out there who don't know the old show and saw those two pictures on the desk and say, "Oh, there's River," who's the other chick? That is Susan, his granddaughter. Mm-hmm. That was one of the very first companion, alongside her teachers Ian and Barbara. She is the only real piece of family we've ever seen him have.
Right.
And it was the first companion he left behind, which is interesting that he would have her picture on the desk alongside River.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because he never talks about her like at all in any of the new series or like. I mean, there's no references to her, and so for him to have that picture on his desk...
Well, she showed up on the Black Archive wall.
Oh, right.
Her picture was there, but that was unit investigating.
Sure. But for him to have that picture, I mean, maybe that's a clue of something to come, or something that has happened that has made him, think back to his family or something. And why? I mean, he would have that picture, and why wouldn't he have, I don't know, Clara's picture or something? He just ended with her, so...
But no, he wouldn't, because he forgot her.
Yeah, but, I mean...
He forgot her.
He did, but after he left, and then... I feel like he would be like, oh yeah, I guess that was her, who I was just talking to. I guess I'll let her go. Like, that's my opinion on what happened at the end.
Yeah, we'll save my ranting on that for another day.
Okay, sure.
At how stupid that ending is.
Well, because there's no way he wouldn't know... that he wouldn't have caught on, like, oh, that's who I was just talking to. The restaurant just disappeared behind me. It's obvious he would have gotten it. He didn't know at the time, but then after the conversation and he left, he had to have known.
But I thought him knowing was a part of what created the hybrid. Them
together, like, was the problem.
So why didn't he go searching after her?
Because he just let her go. I don't know. Because he needed to, so that there wouldn't be the hybrid problem anymore.
So why couldn't he have just left her in the first place? And why did they have to go through the whole one of the two forgetting each other?
I don't know.
Moffat,
no.
Stop writing stupid, lazy conclusions.
So anyway,
the silence. Go back in time and exist on Earth. Okay, sorry. No, I'm not going to rant about season 6.
Okay, so there is that nod to Clara at the end when he's going to erase her memory, and he's like, "What? How would you feel if someone did this to you?" So he thinks back to that time. Either that, or it's like, I feel a certain way about this for some reason. I don't know, but I think he's thinking back to Clara for sure.
Well, a lot of people I've talked to have been really upset that he didn't have a picture of Rose on his desk, and I keep trying to tell people, remember, no matter how much he loved Rose, he left Rose with himself.
Yeah.
A version of him and Rose got to live together. Mm-hmm. He literally had to move past her, guys. He gave up on her. Mm-hmm. And that's... I understand you're like, but it was the love story. Yes, it was. It was Tennant's love story. And he left her with him. Like, she got to live her life with the Doctor. So he is doing his best to just forget her. Mm-hmm. Cut her out of his life. because that's too emotional for him, right?
Right.
You know?
Well, and that brings me to a line at the end, which I thought was really interesting. Right before he decided, okay, like, I know he doesn't think of it this way, but we do, where he thinks, okay, fine, Bill's my new companion.
Yeah.
She left, he let her keep her memories, and she left, and he ran off, and then he's looking at the pictures, he's like, River, Susan, shut up, stop looking at me like that, and then even the TARDIS made a noise, and he's like, shut up, I can't do it anymore, I promised. What was the promise? Who did he promise to that he wouldn't
Well, it's probably a part
do
of the
this anymore?
season-long story.
It might be. That was a question I had was, well, who did he promise to? Was it to River? Like, hey, don't do this, or after Clara, maybe he promised himself, he wasn't gonna get involved with a person anymore, or what?
Yeah, he's made absolutely no promise on screen, which leads me to believe that this is a part of the season-long story arc. So okay, let's examine the few things that we've seen so far that seem to be the season-long story arc.
Sure.
First, we have the vault. What is in the vault?
Yes.
Something important is in the vault. He has to protect it.
He's been there for protecting it for about 50 years. Yeah.
But it's also he's running away.
Right.
He says he brought it there to hide, which means he knows something's after it. He knows things are after it. So whatever's in the vault, people are searching for. He already knows that part of the story, and he's running away.
Well, because as soon as he found out about the evil oil slick,
the puddle.
That was the puddle that was following Bill.
The menacing puddle.
He runs immediately to the vault to check, make sure that it's okay. Nothing's been tampering with the vault. It's not here for the vault. It must be just here to kill us.
It's coincidence. Yeah. And then, of course, obviously, the stuff with the promise he made, that's a part of it. But that's all a part of it. So there's an adventure that we didn't see. But that's Moffat. Moffat will tell us by the end. He likes writing seasons backwards. He likes starting the season at the end, and as it spirals out of control, he eventually gives us the explanations.
Now, and this is one thing we haven't really talked about. We didn't really do any sort of Series 10, discussion or anything. But, the trailers for this series, we know that he's going to regenerate at Christmas is when he said that is Capaldi's last episode. But there's some regeneration going on in the trailers for this season. What's happening with that? Is it going to happen sooner than we think? And Moffat always says, it's going to be different this time. It's going to happen in a different way.
It's going to be complicated.
Complicated.
Is the line they keep using.
Yeah. So that's interesting too. Is this something that has to do with his regeneration already? Or, there's always that idea that Moffat had he wanted to do with Tenet, where you see it the first time you see him, he's just been in some sort of, thing, and Amy helped him, and then he goes and regenerates, then you see him earlier for the rest of it, or I forget exactly how that went. But.
So it was the very first scene in season 5, if it had been Tenet. Tenet crashes into Amy's garden when she's a little girl, but he's close to death.
Yeah.
This is at the end of season 5. The reason he crashes is the stuff that season 5 explains. And he helps her as a little girl, and then he gets back in the TARDIS and takes off. And presumably, in the last episode, then you would see him regenerate. But then later in that first episode, he arrives again 10 years later for Amy, but it's him at the beginning of the season, before all of that. And then that would have been the season. I agree with you that I know Moffat's wanted to do that. I don't think that's what this is. There's a part of me that wants to say inside the vault is the Doctor. That it's him getting ready to regenerate.
Sure.
And that something happened, so he sought out his younger Capaldi self to hide him in the vault.
Yeah, I like that.
Knowing that the adventure would have to happen.
Yeah, that would be
so cool. That's a possibility. But again, we'll talk about this in the oh my god, that promo, but they show pieces of the regeneration now in the promos, but I don't think what we're seeing from this season is a scene. I think that's stuff that the Doctor might see that's going to happen at Christmas. Or if it is something that's going to happen this season, it's going to happen, but he has to somehow contain the regeneration.
Sure.
The way Tenet did. Even though he's exploding, maybe he puts that regeneration energy into something to give him a little more time. So
yeah, that's all great stuff, and I think even though you just said it now, I would still be super surprised if that's what it was. That would be quite the twist. So, I mean, that's really it for questions I had or like anything, but there were a lot of things that I just thought were really cool. There was a really awesome TARDIS interior shot of this when they first got in there, and it was this sweeping shot where it started at the doors and then cut back and showed the whole interior of the TARDIS. That was amazing. That was one of the best TARDIS shots I've ever seen.
It was definitely one of the best introductions to the TARDIS that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Next to the Doctor.
Yeah.
Being introduced.
Yeah, I always like the one where in the Snowmen where Matt Smith goes in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a sweeping shot from outside the TARDIS and then it goes into the inside. That was always really good. And the lights were off and then he turns on the lights and turns around, you know.
Showman.
Yeah, it was great. It was
That's what Capaldi does to Bill. Yeah, I like that shot as well. I like what they did with the TARDIS. I like that we are to assume that Nardole and the Doctor have been using the TARDIS and been doing all these other adventures because Nardole is very comfortable flying the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, and he's doing all sorts of stuff for him. You know, the Doctor throws him a sonic screwdriver and it's like, here, go run interference or whatever.
The cup of sonic screwdrivers.
Yes, that was good. That was good. I love that he's still playing the guitar, too. That was good.
Yes.
The little hint of that, I was like, you can't get rid of that. That's so great.
Rebel Time Lord, man.
Just hoping those sunglasses come back at some point.
I think they will.
Whip them back on.
We've seen them in the trailer.
I think so, yeah. And we've seen them,
trailers.
you know, I think they were in the Husbands of River Song. He used them, I think, at some point. Or in Dr. Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember, but
I don't remember
definitely hope they come back just for fun, just here or there.
Yeah, they're a fun little accessory.
He still had the sonic paper. He said if anything happens,
Psychic
I'll
paper.
get a... That's it. Psychic paper. He'll get a message on this. I like the bit when they got out of the TARDIS and she's like, oh, it's daytime. Did we travel in time? He was like, no, we traveled to Australia. That was so great. That was such a good bit.
It was a good setup. And then, of course, later with where they bring it back around, it's also a time machine. It's
also a time machine, yeah. That was the best part of this episode was how long it took Bill to get to understanding what was going on.
Oh yeah.
How long it took her to get to like, okay, it's bigger on the inside. First of all, was the first time they got there, and then she realized like, oh, it's also a time machine, and like he does know what he's talking about as far as like sci-fi. He knows all that.
Oh, that moment with her where she says, okay, when he's trying to explain what she thinks the puddle is, and she goes, you know sci-fi, and he gives her this look, and he stands up, and the look is the what? Me, no sci-fi. What do you think? But he doesn't say that. He goes, all right, yeah, go ahead.
I rewatched it last night, and it's the best part is every time he shows her something, she always diminishes what it is. Like it's like it looks like and he's like spaceship, and she's like kitchen, you know, and then like oh it's a like, and then he thinks she's gonna get it again. She goes, "Oh, it's a lift," you know. This isn't just a room; it's a lift. You know, so it's like she never quite gets there,
right?
Until the very end, and then.
But that's her. She's asking the questions that people should be asking that we take for granted because we've seen so many people ask these questions. Yeah. We just assume people are going to be amazed by it.
You know, is it a knock through? You know, can I use the toilet? Just the other things that you wouldn't think of. It's like, oh, I guess maybe. Somebody might need to use the toilet after seeing that.
The monster this week was definitely weak. That's fine. It wasn't about the monster. It was about Bill and about the Doctor.
Well, and I always, Rose, I always thought the Autons, it was like,
yeah, that was
Autons or whatever,
right.
Whatever.
But the thing that really gets me is so it's this living puddle, this living oil or whatever. The Doctor makes a point to say, look at these burn marks. And a ship was there, okay? And then there's the living puddle. So there's a couple of things that are really, like, in the back of my head, creeping around in the back of my head. This is Moffat using a lot of the same themes he's used before.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the end of Season 5 when River goes to Amy's house and the burn marks were on the burn patterns were on the ground? The ship had been there because they went and they pulled the psychic residue from the house and all the things they saw in there to build the Pandorica.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a lot of the same carryover ideas, and he's even using a lot of the same verbiage and things.
Yeah.
There's still so many unanswered questions from Season 5. Moffat. So many unanswered things that still don't make any sense. I'm talking to you, Moffat. It's Steven! So there's things that, like...
I got some question for you.
It's your character's a derivative of a bygone era. No, this stuff, like, you never... Remember when the TARDIS was taken control of, there was a voice. Silence will fall, or whatever. Yeah. And then here we have, again, burn marks and a puddle, and we see from the inside of the puddle... Right. As if it's inside a ship.
Or it's like a kind of a window into the world. It's not just a living puddle, it's a window.
And there's a voice that says, the pilot has been found.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that voice was interesting, and then I just kind of wrote it off, but no, you're right. I mean, who is that? Who's talking?
Connecting piece... Okay.
Is it the puddle talking, or what?
I'm going to throw it out there.
Okay, go ahead. Throw it. I might catch it.
Is it Prisoner Zero?
No!
Could Prisoner Zero
be
the alien who controls the puddle, who controlled the TARDIS, is controlling all of this from the end of Capaldi's run all the way back to the beginning of Matt Smith?
For you first-time listeners... Crazy Uncle Matt over here has a lot of thoughts about Prisoner Zero. And
he was inside the crack. The doctor opens the crack, he sees the Atraxi, and Prisoner Zero comes through. So clearly you could move through the crack, but we know on the other side of the cracks was Gallifrey, hiding in a little pocket of time, which means Prisoner Zero and the Atraxi were on Gallifrey. Who the hell is Prisoner Zero, who knows all about the Doctor and the TARDIS, and was taunting the Doctor? Oh, you don't know. Silence will fall, Doctor. The Doctor and the TARDIS doesn't know. Oh, so many...
I know everything about the next 2-3 seasons.
And then, when we're getting ready for Series 9, right? 9. Now, this isn't Capaldi's time. This is a season after Capaldi's time. Moffat asks, specifically, what can we expect to be revealed? And he goes, who's Prisoner Zero? But first... And he goes on about other things.
Yeah.
And it bothers me that he even knows that we don't know who Prisoner Zero is, but there seems to be this implied connection. And I feel like we're going to get to the Christmas special of this year, and there's going to be this massive revelation that Prisoner Zero is someone important and is controlling all of this all along. That it's actually Capaldi or something, or maybe it's the Valiard, or I don't even know what, but like it's going to be something. And it's just bothering me. That's Uncle Matt's rant over here that you seem to get every season, every freaking episode.
So now that we're all caught up.
For first-time listeners, now that you're caught up, Moffat is a jerk. Moving on.
Good riddance.
Good. At least Chibnall never creates a story or a mystery that nobody understands or can't figure out.
Wait a minute.
He's straightforward. He's a straightforward shooter.
My favorite lines from this episode, definitely Bill's. When they first get in the TARDIS. Those are my favorite lines. First of all, he says, nothing gets through these doors. And she's like, but they're made of wood. There's windows. That was my favorite line. And then the other one where she's like, it looks like a kitchen, a really posh kitchen. What happened to the doors, though? Did you run out of money? Like, that's so good. That's so good.
It's anything Bill said in this episode was absolutely gold.
Oh, or what she said, he goes, it disguises itself, and she's like, as a box that says pull to open.
Asking the questions.
He's asking the questions.
The Whovians have been asking.
That's right.
I love Bill's responses to stuff. I love Nardole. I love the whole Bill finally gets his bigger on the inside, and he goes, yes, there it is.
Yeah.
As if to say they've been waiting for it, I don't know, just the whole episode, everything really hit. There were no favorite quotes as much as they were all very good.
Yes. Nardole was great. There was the point where they were like kind of fiddling around at the vault, and he was like, you need to turn it. Like, he kept telling the doctor, like, okay, now turn it. And he's like, I'm turning it. It's just them bickering. That's great. It was good. It was really good stuff. So, Matt, final thoughts on this episode?
Absolutely great episode. One of the best that we've seen from Capaldi so far. The last two episodes clearly have been my favorite of Capaldi's. Anything without Clara has been great with Capaldi. But this is the season we've been waiting for. This is the Capaldi we've been waiting for. And I think this is the companion we've been waiting for. Absolutely top-notch episode.
Yeah, I sure hope you're right. This was a good sign that this season is going to be really great. any of the trailers and stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute, there's some good stuff to come. I hope it's all as fantastic as it looks. This episode, I really did like it. It is a good jumping off point. We're introduced to this new companion. They reintroduce what the TARDIS is, what it does, who he is. He's still, they give him, he's a bit of a mystery, but that's good. The monster was but that's kind of, it was a little scary though. There were
a great jump scare.
There were some times in there where I was like, the part in her apartment was so tense.
Yeah.
and it was late at night, and I was watching this on my computer with my headphones, and it was creepy. But yeah, really great episode, and I am super excited for the rest of the season.
Good.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives the pilot 9 out of 10.
And now it's time for...
Oh my god, that promo.
Oh my god, that promo.
Oh my god, that promo!
So guys, first off, there have been several trailers, right? There was a trailer for this coming up, and then we didn't really get a chance to talk about those. There was a next time trailer, and then there was a coming soon promo.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and lump the next time and the coming soon together as one big promo when we talk about it, one big trailer. And holy bejeebus, what a promo. What a trailer.
Yeah. The next time trailer, the episode looks good. It looks fun. It's one of those, they kind of have that pattern where they go, present day for the first one, and then they go into the future, and then the next one they're going to go into the past. It's kind of that formula that introduces the companion to where they're going to go, what kind of adventures they're going to have.
Right.
Yeah. So this is going to be the future one. You got robots. You got mysterious death of humans. It looks like some sort of... There's a line in there where he says something about, they're expecting this to be Eden. So it's like maybe it's a new type of...
Well, there's
society or something.
There's a line in the trailer where he says, "This is the first colony for mankind."
Yeah.
So this is. So what it seems like, what I'm inferring from this is, we sent ships to this planet, wherever, and the robots were supposed to harvest everything and prepare it. So then the first colonists get out there, and they're going to expect this beautiful, lush new world. But of course, in true Doctor Who fashion, everything you're supposed to trust will kill you.
Technology turning against us.
No! And emoji's finally trying to do us in.
That's fair.
But then we get into what we expect to see this season.
Oh my god!
Now we've already seen stuff. We already know that there's going to be an episode on Mars with the Empress of the Ice Warriors.
Yes.
Which we're really excited. And when we do that review, we're going to have a very special guest on that review. The review will be done by Bill Skaldak, who is a former Ice Warrior. Now
salesman.
Used whatever salesman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure what he's been up to lately, but he's done quite a few things for us.
He's one of our sponsors.
He's one of our sponsors. He's a proud sponsor. He gave us our TARDIS. But we've seen that there's going to be that. We've seen the stuff in the past, the River Thames during the Frost Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the stuff we're all looking forward to is the Missy Master stuff.
Yes.
Because we finally get a glimpse of John Sims.
Yes.
The old master, right? He's returning. We should give him a new... He should be Ted Sims or something.
Well, he's got a new look. He's got the beard. He's got
which
kind
is
of
very
this leather
classic
jacket.
Doctor.
You're right. That beard
with
is
the collar even.
Yeah. It looks good. Maybe like almost a little faux hawk, maybe.
A little faux hawkish.
A
little faux hockey. Faux hockey. So
faux hockey.
He's definitely faux hockey.
Yeah.
He likes the St. Louis Blues. So we're talking. I'm really excited to see the Master again. And I'm excited for him and Missy together.
Oh yeah.
So we got that glimpse of it. So that was definitely something I was looking forward to.
So much sass. It's gonna be so much sass.
It'll be never-ending sass. And they're gonna make fun of each other constantly, and it's gonna be hilarious.
Well, we never got to see John Sim regenerate into Missy, so this would be And the last time we saw Missy, she was on the Dalek, she was on Skaro. She said, I have a great idea. Was her idea, hey, let me hook up with my past self? Maybe that's her idea. We'll see. But it'd be interesting to see, actually, here's what I would love to see. Whatever John Sim is doing with Missy, it causes him to regenerate into Missy. Then you have 2 Missies on screen.
Oh my. That is the scariest idea I've ever heard. Wow. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That could be. Also, keep in mind, Missy doesn't have to be the next regeneration.
You're right.
There could be entire lives in between the two.
John Hurt could be in there.
I don't think John Hurt's going to be in this season. Amongst the many things I don't believe are going to be in this season,
John Hurt is one of them.
John Hurt is one of them. Maybe in between them is a little character we like to call Prisoner Zero. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm excited to. Thank you. I'm excited to see what they can do with the idea of a multi-master episode. I think that's really cool. We've never had a multi-master episode before for obvious reasons.
For new Who.
For old Who, but for any Who, but that's for obvious reasons.
There wasn't one in old Who?
No, because the first master, Robert Delgado, died, passed away. They had 2 other guys playing the master with makeup on. That eventually led to Anthony Ailes, I think his last name is, playing the master, and that was him. That was the guy for the rest of the show. And then in the movie, they had Eric Roberts.
Yes.
So we've never had a multi-master episode.
So this will be...
This is literally first time.
Making.
This is this is new. This is 52 years in the making.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be awesome.
So,
and again, a shot of some regeneration stuff going on. Like we first thing we saw was like a little bit of the hand going, but this other shot, it's
full body.
Like full body stuff coming out of the hands.
You notice
and the head.
It's unit soldiers standing behind him with guns.
Right. So it's being done. What is this?
Yeah.
That's that kind of stuff. Is like, how is that going to fit? And then how is he still going to be around at Christmas? That's the question. So, exciting stuff.
A very cool promo. And before we go, I just want to do a quick PSA here. I just want to make sure I throw this out there. There are a lot of rumors and stories of people thinking they know what's going to happen. They're all being quoted, for the most part, by The Mirror, which is a trash tabloid paper in England. If anyone from The Mirror is listening, you guys are horrible. You are not journalists. Stop doing what you're doing.
Take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror.
In the mirror. Oh, zing! Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree.
So listen, don't listen to these. Don't look at these articles.
Just wait for the official stuff. Just
anything from BBC is fine. Anything outside of that, do not listen.
Just wait. You'll find out.
Because it's nobody knows. They just finished filming. Keep in mind, BBC's official line is they have not made any casting decisions for season 11.
Yeah.
Absolutely no additional people have been seen on the set in the final days of filming of this season of Doctor Who, which means there is no new Doctor who's walked onto set and been filmed.
Yeah.
BBC has not announced anything, and they are continuing to say no official designations were made. Up until like a week or two ago, Chibnall was on vacation. He wasn't even starting on Doctor Who till he got back. I promise you, there is no new Doctor chosen. No other information matters. So this is to everyone. Guys, do not listen to any of these stories. They're supposition. It is bad sources. I'm saying this because I've had to throw a lot of Doctor Who fan pages off my Facebook.
It's fake news.
It is exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's fake news
for sure.
So
it's a little less consequential than national fake news, but still, come on, guys.
Yeah, knowing the next Doctor is not going to alter history any more so than it already does.
That's right. Yuck.
Yuck.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll be here all season. These episodes come out every Friday.
It's always a week after.
Yep.
So you don't have to. If you don't get to see the episode right away, that's okay, because we're not going to talk about it with you until Friday. So you got 6 days to watch it. I highly recommend it. If you don't already, make sure go to Amazon. You can buy the season pass if you don't have BBC America that you can't watch it. Or it's on Apple TV.
Yeah, BBC America app or BBCAmerica.com.
Or you can go to
watch it for free.
BBCAmerica.com and watch it for free. So get a chance to watch it, come back, and
join us.
And join us.
Yeah.
We talk about all things Who.
Well, thanks for joining us. And remember, kids, stay away from puddles.
Because puddles clearly are aliens.
Yes.
All right, to the Vortex.
Woohoo! This has been another Voices from the Vortex review, Series 9, starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt, the Time Lord, Taylor Davidson as Taylor, the Time Lord, and Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS. All views expressed are the opinions of the two dudes from Gallifrey, and as such, should be taken extremely seriously. Follow Voices from the Vortex on all social media, including Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. If you have any questions regarding the podcast, please email us at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. Doctor Who and all related materials is copyright BBC. No infringement of copyright is intended. All originally written material is fan fiction of a satirical nature. Please, Mr. Moffat, don't sue. See you next time in the Vortex!
Temporal flight engaged. Returning to the vortex. End of transmission.